Good morning, everybody. To the second day on Ignite. Hope you had a nice evening yesterday on the reception event. And this morning we want to go not through technical details. We want to give you a real-life example how we as DB Schenker have implemented our global workplace as a 100% cloud solution. And that you know who is on stage. My name is Stefan Haas. I'm the head of infrastructure steering at DB Schenker, responsible for global project management, process management, and architecture. And I have some support with me.
Yeah, my name is Thorsten. I'm the global black belt for Windows Cyber Defense covering EMEA. And I was supporting this project from the security perspective, bringing the right people to the table, having contact into engineering teams and so on.
Thanks. So Ignite is, as we heard yesterday on some keynotes, full of technical sessions, full of Microsoft technology. This is something what we want to not talk today. We want to talk today about how we can use this technology to make a real solution out of Microsoft technology, and especially how we did it at DB Schenker. Let's have a short look on the agenda for today. First of all, I want to give you a short introduction. So around about 50 slides around DB Schenker.
Yeah. So I shortened this from 100.
Exactly. And then I want to give you an intro why we have chosen this approach, why we not go the traditional way with a workplace, why we got this 100% cloud approach. Then we put three sections together. In the first section, I want to give you an introduction how we do workplace enrollment, how we do workplace management. In the second section, talking about the classical workplace backend, Office 365, directory services, how we have implemented them. And in the last section, especially the area where Thorsten is coming from, the security stuff for our workplace, how we deal with the security on the back end, on the front end, and also how we deal with data protection in this project, especially when it comes to storing data completely into the cloud. So let's start with a general introduction. Who is DB Schenker, where we are coming from, and why we have exactly chosen this approach. DB Schenker is one of the largest logistics company. So we are number one in land transport in Europe, number 3 on the global level for air freight and ocean freight, and number 5 globally for contract logistics. As you see that Schenker is the original company name, and the DB in front, it stands for Deutsche Bahn. It's the German railway. That's our mother company, so we are part of a big transport company, big transport family. DB Schenker was founded a long time ago, 1872. We are operating in around about 2,000 locations around the globe with 65,000 employees, and 65,000 employees means also 65,000 devices or PCs, laptops we are managing. These 2,000 locations are spread around 130 different countries around the world. The next slide is very important to understand why we have chosen our workplace approach. Where is Schenker coming from? As I mentioned, we are spread around the globe on many, many locations, many, many countries. And that means also in the past, we had in each country his own IT department. So we have IT located in 60 different countries. That means we had in the past 60 CIOs, 60 head of IT infrastructure, 60 independent IT implementations. So that means more than 100 different Active Directories. Everybody in the country has invented the wheel by their own when it comes to the migrations from XP to Windows 7 and so on. And since a couple of times we are transforming this organization from a completely decentralized approach to a corporate approach. So the people are still located in the countries, but we transform them into one global team, directly steered from one point. And with this organizational transformation, we do also these technical transformation. And one of the technical transformations is the definition of one global workplace we roll out for all our 65,000 end users. Let's look a little bit more in detail what we have covered in our global workplace program. When we started the project last year, around about July, we decided to go a radical approach. We said, let's define that Schenker is a garage company, is a startup. How would such a company build up their IT infrastructure, their workplace infrastructure? And we had plenty of discussions with all our IT colleagues around the world, and we asked them, hey guys, we have to get rid of these old habits, this old traditional way of managing a workplace infrastructure. Look forward into the next 5 to 10 years, how is IT changing? And we defined these 3 major sections. On the workplace enrollment management section, we will talk about how we do enrollment, how we do management of the client, and also how we do software distribution now onto the client. In the security section, we have, on the one hand side, the protection of the data for the office documents. We have the email protection, but we have also the topics of the device protection. In the section Workplace Backend, we will talk about the approach we have for the directory, for Exchange, for SharePoint, for this classical commodity infrastructure, but also talk about how collaboration for groups, teams, projects, departments, and so on can work, and how the people will store data in the future. We said, okay, it's a cloud-based client, but time will not change from today to tomorrow to have completely everything in the cloud, have everything on a modern approach. We still have the challenge to integrate or to connect our new modern workplace to our on-prem line of business applications and legacy systems, what we still have in the countries to do our business. But the major operations of the client should come completely out of the cloud, starting from identity management, provisioning, management, the document repositories, the complete social collaboration and communication. And the target is that we can go with this client into every location, and we do not need anything on-premise, that we can run this client completely out of the cloud. And on the long term, that means for us also that we have in these nearly 2,000 locations that they are more or less infrastructure free. The only thing what we need is a switch, is wireless, and internet access. That is what we want to have on a long term in the branches. Now put our strategy into one sentence together. So we call it the new mobility for the employees, and we define it as the secure and modern digital workplace for communication and collaboration to be used from everywhere in every device operate in the cloud. And especially I'm very proud to put the word secure in, because since we are running this client now, this beginning of this year, we not had yet even one security incident on all of these new clients compared to our existing platform. And I think in the last section, Thorsten and myself will go a little bit more deeper into that. A global workplace, especially when it's a cloud client, cannot be rolled out without any support. We have two major aligned programs with our global workplace rollout. The one is the complete change of our WAN infrastructure. So we are coming from more or less one major WAN provider plus many, many different local implementations. We replace this now with a two-vendor strategy and also go on the connectivity to active-active to offload the internet traffic, what is the main traffic, what our client will produce now, and offload this traffic to a second line, not to interfere with our business applications. Also, the way how we access the internet has completely changed with the client. And this is a 100% prerequisite if you go towards such a client, towards Office 365, to completely rethink your internet access strategy. In the past, we had three major proxies, Americas, Europe, APAC, and all this traffic went through these central proxies. That means for my friends from Australia, when they want to visit a website in Australia, they go through the proxy in Singapore and then the way back to Australia. So they are no longer my friends, or I'm not their friend. Now we introduce a local breakout protected by Zscaler, so that every location has a direct internet breakout connected to the next Zscaler POP to connect directly to the internet. And what is also mandatory to run this client, especially for the enrollment, is that you have the internet access on the default route, and thus the proxy does not need any, the client does not need any proxy configuration. We see why in one of the next slides. Now take a look a little bit more deeper in the first section, how we do workplace enrollment, workplace management. Now start with the first definition, why we call it enrollment. I think most of you had already bought in the past an iPad or an iPhone or an Android tablet. You go to a store, buy it, go home, unpack it, turn it on, and if it's, for example, an iPad, you register this iPad with your Apple ID, so you make it your own device, you enroll it with your own identity, and then it's yours. Afterwards, you go to the App Store, download all the apps you had already in the past, or you can buy them, and then the device is ready to run. The data you have already in the Apple Cloud, the mail is in the cloud, and so on. You have never, ever thought about to take a USB stick into a tablet and deploy the operating system, because the operating system is directly bundled with the hardware. And why not do the same approach on a workplace? Why should I create images with all applications in, and when the hardware is changing, I have to check that all the drivers are in my image. When new software updates, I have to include them directly. So I have a huge effort to maintain my images in different languages around the globe. So why? So all these questions, which are circled around the picture in the middle, we discussed at the beginning of the project to check how our approach should be in the future. And how we do it now? So I make no advertisement. So we have Lenovo as our hardware vendor currently. And what we checked with them, that they provide us a so-called ready-to-deploy image. Microsoft called it Signature Edition. So this is a Windows version which includes only Windows. No Office test software, no antivirus test software, no nice and fancy tools on it. It's just native, pure Windows. Since a couple of days, we enroll these clients also upfront in Windows Autopilot to optimize the enrollment process a little bit. And then we hand out the client directly when it's shipped from the vendor to the end user. Yes, not every end user can all this stuff by his own. We still have users which need some support, but mainly we do the same as when you buy your own Windows device, turn it on at home, and you click through this OBE setup, these blue screens. The same are our end user doing. That means they turn the device on, the device is already registered in Autopilot, the device is coming up, and that's the reason why we need a direct internet access on the default route. So the client needs to have internet connectivity directly from the beginning. It looks up in the cloud on Autopilot. Is my machine ID listed here? Yes. Okay, I'm a DB Schenker device, and prompts the user directly the login mask where he can put in his Azure user ID for enrollment. In this enrollment process, we have also multi-factor authentication integrated. We have Windows Halo activated in this enrollment. And we have a little tool which helps us to deploy configuration and software. It's called ream-join. We'll look in one of the next slides a little bit deeper into it. And then we have a completely provisioned client. And this can be done in one of our offices, can be done at the home office, can be done at the Starbucks coffee store, or can be wherever the user is located. So I'm coming from Germany, so Germany is not so big. So when the sales guy has a broken laptop, he is traveling a couple of hours into one of our next offices where IT is located in the past, gets his PC repaired when it's broken, gets redeployed, and he can work after a day, can travel home. I talked to my colleagues in China, for example. In China, there are people traveling 2 days from their home office to the next DB Schenker office. That means they are losing a complete week in the past when their device is not working anymore. Now, if something is broken, the hardware vendor is coming to their home office, is repairing the device. Afterwards, if, for example, the hard disk is replaced, he is starting this enrollment process at home, and depending on the internet speed, around about half an hour up to 1-2 hours later, he is able to work again. And this is a great, great benefit for all our traveling users not to come back into the office anymore. How do we manage these clients? As I mentioned, it's 100% cloud. So we decided to stay with this modern workplace approach. We heard it this morning from Satya in the keynote, and also in these, call it post-keynotes. In the second keynotes, we have also these keynotes regarding modern management. And exactly what Microsoft told you there, these fancy, nice tools, what they bring out onto the market, we have put it into reality and have proven it that it's working. Our clients during the enrollment process will directly join into Azure AD, and Azure AD directly joins them into Intune as our client management platform. We are using Intune currently to configure Windows Update policies, Defender settings, onboarding for ATP and analytics, and to configure conditional access. For those of you who are operating SCCM or these other things like Matrix 42 and so on, these big blown client management systems, you will tell me, Stefan, you are crazy. Intune is not able to do that, what we are doing. You are right. Intune is today not able to completely replace SCCM or other client management tools. We are aware. So we checked also upfront, should we do a hybrid approach together with SCCM? And we decided no, we stay with the cloud approach. And we are working together with a company called Glück & Kanya. It's our consulting company. They have developed a little tool. It's an Intune companion or sidecar agent, which closed this functional gap we currently have with Intune to fulfill policy deployment, to fulfill software deployment, and so on. And exactly what I'm presenting here today, this design, this approach, was awarded by Microsoft a couple of weeks ago on the partner conference as the Partner of the Year Award 2017. Exactly that modern approach, how to manage a global workplace. Realm Join gives us the flexibility to adjust this. Realm Join is, in the meantime, open source. So you can go to realmjoin.com, have a look on it. Can you download it? You can use it free of charge. But you can also get in contact with our colleagues to get some support for that. And we are also, with this solution, very flexible to extend this if we have some special needs. That we can say, okay, we just extend the tools, it's open source, and put the functionality in what we need to close the gap. This tool is an interim solution. We are in contact with Microsoft since the beginning of our project, and this is also a thing what I need to honor, that the way how Microsoft acts with customers has completely changed over the last year. So I'm working with Microsoft together more than 20 years now, and the way how Microsoft acts with customer has completely changed. I had an EBC last year in Redmond, and since this time, we have bi-weekly conferences with Microsoft. We have with the Intune team from Brian Keller, bi-weekly meetings. It's a great support. Microsoft is listening to customer. We give them feedback. We get support from them. So it's a win-win situation from both to bring such a project into success. We also have a look into the future. Today we have no MDM or MOM solution for our mobile devices, and in the next stage we will use Intune also for our mobile devices for application management. The next challenge we had, how can we do software deployment? As I mentioned, we want to have an infrastructure-free branch. So everything must come out of the cloud. There is more or less no product available on the market which can fulfill this. And on the other side, we want to have a very lean and flexible solution. Currently, the solution is more or less handmade, but it's working perfectly. So we have everything implemented on Azure. We store our software packages in a GitLab repository, and we are using proven tools like Chocolatey, like NuGet, to transport the applications to the client and deploy them there. And here comes also Realm Join back in the game. Realm Join takes over the control that when a user is assigned to a group, a software is fully automated, deployed on the client. And on one hand side, we have this fully automated deployment onto the client, but over Realm Join, the users have also the possibility to select software on demand, like an additional browser or some other software, what we offer in general, that they can just click on it and the software is deployed in a very easy and modern way. As the software is always coming out of the cloud, we have also to take care about bandwidth so that not every package is downloaded by the client. Here we are using also Microsoft technology called branch cache. So all our clients are branch cache enabled. The software deployment is branch cache enabled. So if I download a software the first time on a client, the second client directly gets the packages from the first client out of the cache. Let's have a look now how we are doing our backend, how we are dealing with Office 365, and especially how we deal with our directory approach. When we started here, we also discussed in a big group of IT infrastructure responsible persons how we approach in the future our identity management. What we have at DB Schenker is we have a centralized identity management. So every employee at DB Schenker has his own identity in a completely separated identity management, which is completely decoupled from the rest of our infrastructure world. It's connected to several HR systems. So if, for example, in the headquarters, a new user is employed, the information from the HR system is going directly to the identity management system, and an identity is created there. So I asked my colleagues, why do you do today in your local Active Directories more or less the same? You create user accounts by your own, you have to maintain them, you have to take care that if someone is leaving the company, that you have to disable or to delete a user account, and so on. So let us keep the identity management in that perfect area where it is today. And the only thing what we need is a repository of identities to authenticate, to assign applications, to assign groups, and so on. Then my colleagues mentioned, oh, we need OU structures, we need to separate the people from each other. It's not possible with Azure to have all these users in one flat list, and so on. And then I mentioned, hey guys, let's have a look on the real enterprise guys. Let's have a look on Facebook. Facebook is dealing with 1.5 billion identities in a flat directory. And if Facebook can handle this with this amount, why should not we at DB Schenker handle 65,000 user account also on a flat list? Where is the need that we have to create user organizational units in a directory and so on? And when you have a look on the picture in the middle, before I'm now working on the bright side of life, I worked also 10 years on the dark side of the life as a consultant, and I have made plenty of these pictures. So my former consulting company earned a lot of money that I went to a customer and made big Active Directory designs with OU structures, forest designs, and so on. But finally, do we need that? Yeah. We then decided for the workplace to go completely into Azure AD. I'm still behind that decision. The problem is that many companies have not yet recognized that there are companies outside, customers outside in the field, who do not have an Active Directory anymore. Yeah. I had yesterday on one of the booths here a discussion with a company and say, oh, you have a nice product. And then they explained me, oh, it's fine. And then they mentioned, okay, here you have to configure your domain name, here you can configure OUs, and so on. And say, hey, sorry, I don't have it. I only have an Azure AD. Yeah, sorry, we are not supporting Azure AD, not today. So this is what we recognize currently, that many software vendors are, from my point of view, far behind their schedule, that they have to recognize that Azure AD will be a valid directory in the future, and not only for young startups that only use Office 365 and nothing else, also for enterprise companies like we, that we are going completely into the cloud and have no local ID anymore. As I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, we have our own identity management, and this identity management is dealing with our identities and then provision this into a global AD. And now you ask me, hey, Stefan, you just have mentioned that you don't have an AD anymore, and now on the slide you mentioned that you have a global AD. Yes, we have one, but not an own one. Schenker decided a couple of years ago to completely outsource Exchange. This outsourcer created his own Active Directory, implemented Exchange there, implemented also SharePoint there, and our identity management is provisioning the user accounts in this Active Directory. But this Active Directory is not owned by DB. Oops, sorry. This Active Directory is not owned by DB Schenker. We are only allowed to use it for certain circumstances. And we use it, for example, as a benefit here, because the only way to bring identities in the cloud is Azure AD Connect. That's the only fully supported way from Microsoft how you can synchronize your user IDs into the cloud. Every other idea what our colleagues from the identity management had to use the Graph API and then provision the accounts on a manual way over that, it's not supported. And the next topic is that we also, with an Exchange hybrid, we have to use this special global Active Directory. But finally, for us, it's just a man in the middle. Our identity management is provisioning the user account in that directory, and Azure AD Connect is synchronizing these user accounts directly into the cloud. And what is now special, what we did here, we also synchronizing the password hashes. We have not implemented any federation services, nothing. So the full authentication of the workplace and all the applications using Azure AD are authenticated directly in the cloud by Azure AD. We had, in that case, a long discussion, a long fight with our guys from IT security. With the help from Microsoft, we convinced them and explained them that synchronizing a password hash, which is securely hashed and salted, to copy this hash to Azure AD it's not an issue, it's not a problem. And we explained them also that we have, out of that, many, many benefits. So we have licensed, now it's called Microsoft 365, not anymore Secure Productive Enterprise. We have licensed the E3 suite for all of our users, plus an Azure AD Premium P2, so that we can also use all these additional security features from Azure AD, like, for example, risk-based authentication. Yeah, that means that what Microsoft is explaining you as feature, as fancy, that when a user is logging on today from Orlando and 10 minutes later from Berlin in Germany, that's physically not possible. So we get alerts from that, we can react on that, and can check what happens with that user. Is that user ID compromised, or has that user just used VPN, and that's the way why he switched the entry point into the internet. We can also check if a user is normally only using application A, B, and C, and suddenly this user account is also using application X, Y, Z. That's an abnormal behavior, so our security operations team can react on such events. And all these security features, what Azure AD is providing, can only be used if you do the authentication completely against the cloud, and that's the reason why we have decided to completely move into the cloud, including the password hashes. We are also using Azure AD domain services to allow our legacy applications, which use LDAP, Kerberos, and TLM for authentication, that it also can use the cloud world, and we can step by step also shut down all the local ADs we have in the different countries. I think this section is in the meantime standard. So Office 365 is a commodity service. And when you are in regular contact with Microsoft, the last year, they always come to us and try to sell Office 365. This year, they're coming to sell Azure. And what we heard that morning, yesterday morning from Satya, next year you will come and sell AI. So more or less, Office 365 is commodity. And that's the reason what we also discussed upfront in the project. All these services offered by Office 365, starting from SharePoint Online, Exchange Online, is it still worth to operate this on-premise? Isn't it not cheaper with a higher SLA and so on to run this out of the cloud? Isn't it better if you run a SaaS solution like Office 365, which is continuously updated, instead of having the things on-premise and every year you have to take care that you update this, have to implement updates, have to implement new versions and all that stuff? And in the discussion with our IT security, data protection guys, which mentioned, oh, cloud service, insecure, and so on. Say, hey guys, we have already the cloud services in our company. Here. So all these cloud services I mentioned here, we found already that users are using them. Without the knowledge of IT, without the support of the IT, they just register them with their company email address, store data there, and then share it with customers on that way. And there was a nice sales pitch from the Dropbox guys. They come into our office, and they only showed one slide. This amount of user IDs with @dbschenker.com we have already with Dropbox, and this amount of terabyte these people store already. And this is completely uncontrolled. And this is why we also convinced our data protection guys and the IT security guys, say, hey, with Office 365, we do it in a complete IT-controlled way. And we are offering our colleagues a solution, what they can use, how they can share data with others, and have the data available from everywhere. One sentence, what is going around in our company, it's called Nature Finds Its Way. It's from Jurassic Park, when they recognize that 2 female dinosaurs are able to reproduce themselves. And this is what our users are doing here. Yeah? They find their own solution, completely uncontrolled, unsecure. How we did now the implementation at DB Schenker. We decided at DB Schenker to set up one tenant. Nothing else makes sense. There was also the big discussion within the DB group, also to set up one tenant for the whole group. You have to know that we are separated in 3 major brands with completely different IT organizations. And there it makes no sense, because without having a governance model to operate such a big environment, it makes no sense. So we decided to have tenants for these 3 major brands, and DB Schenker is one of them. The Office 365 tenant gives now the users the possibility to access their data from everywhere they are, from more or less every device they have. That means technically, we are prepared for ping your own device. But there are so many organizatorical stuff behind which needs to be clarified to run really bring your own device. We started with our tenant in Europe, as our headquarters in Germany, but we have a lot of legal requirements, compliance requirements, especially here from our colleagues in the US, that they have to store their data here on US ground, emails, files, and so on. So we are currently in the progress to be onboarded for this multi-region tenant, which allows us then to bring workload from Amsterdam, Dublin, to one of the data centers here in the US, so that the people, our colleagues here in the US, have still their data here on US ground. For Exchange Online, we built up a hybrid environment with our Exchange on-premise. It was a very easy step. It's a seamless operation. For the users, it's completely transparent if they are on the on-premise Exchange or in the cloud. The only thing what they recognize that they have suddenly a 100 megabyte big mailbox and not have to store all the stuff in PST files. And for those of you who are operating Exchange and taking care about Outlook and PST files, you know that this is a hassle to deal with it. And with Exchange Online, we have 100 megabyte plus the online archive for the users. As we still have Exchange 2010 on-premise, you see, on-premise installation, old, kept, cheap, not updated. We are now in a little hassle here because 2010 is still supported for hybrid, but our users are used to use Outlook to maintain their own distribution lists. Now you move the user to the cloud, and you lose this functionality. So here we are deploying currently a small web-based solution to allow the users to maintain their distribution lists, and then when we have moved everybody to Exchange Online, then also convert the distribution list from on-prem to the cloud. And one wish at Microsoft from our side, and I think that's not our own wish, is that Azure AD Connect will be a bidirectional sync and not only a more or less a one-direction sync. SharePoint Online we are using mainly as the underlying platform for OneDrive, for Office 365 groups, for Teams. The usage of SharePoint Online as a, I don't really call it application server, is not in scope of our project and will be handled in a completely separate project, how to migrate all our existing SharePoint infrastructure we have today also towards SharePoint Online. Every user will get his own OneDrive to store his personal data there. It replaced the home shares, and we give the users over that way an easy way of sharing data. What was the behavior today? If a user creates a PowerPoint, he sends it to 5 colleagues for review. He puts the 10 megabyte PowerPoint in an email, sends to 5 users, 10 users, whatever, asks for a review. He retrieves 5, 10 versions back. He has to check where are the updates, where have the colleagues made modifications, put this together, then send it out again, playing ping pong. And instead of having only one email, he has plenty of it, and his mailbox is going full and full and full. With the sharing possibility, it's a completely mind change here. So they leave the PowerPoint presentation, for example, on their OneDrive, attach a link to the email, share it on that way, and everybody can access the document. And even with Office Pro Plus and getting the document open directly from OneDrive, they have also the possibility to do co-authoring. That means they can simultaneously work on the same document, because also in the past they then maybe stored this document on a shared drive, but when the first user has opened the document, the second user was not able to edit the document. Office 365 groups, teams, Yammer brings our colleagues into the next century when it comes to collaboration. In the past, they had no really any collaboration tools. We have an old SharePoint 2010, which is old, slow, not very responsive.
Crusty.
Huh?
Crusty.
And when they want to request an access to have a SharePoint team site, it needs a couple of days to get all that stuff. So they have to request a SharePoint team site, they may have to request a distribution list, maybe a shared mailbox, and so on. So they took days and weeks in the past. Today, as a self-service, it's just a couple of seconds away that all these collaboration functionality the user has at his hand. Yeah, just click on create a new group or create in Teams a new team, and within a couple of seconds, all this functionality, shared mailbox, shared calendar, shared team site, shared document library, or a team collaboration is possible within a couple of seconds. Currently, we have still a little discussion with our IT security guys when it comes to bring your own identity and external sharing. So my strategy is that when I want to collaborate with someone external, like with Thorsten, that I share my document or invite him in a group, and he can use his own Microsoft Office 365 user ID to access our data, or our data together. Today, or in the past, for every user who worked together with us, we created an internal user ID. Okay, in the email they get the extension -extern to make visible that this is an external user. But when I just looked in SharePoint on the user ID, it's the same type of user ID as an internal user. So there was never a clear differentiation between internal and external users. And I see this as a much higher security risk instead of using bring your own identity, because then the company where this external colleague is coming from, they take care when this person is leaving the company that they block his user account. When I create an internal user account for Thorsten, for example, and Thorsten is leaving tomorrow Microsoft, I may not be noticed in 3 or 4 weeks, and still in that time frame he's able to access our data. So this is also for me a big success, step forward when it comes to sharing documentation with business partners. We are rolling out Office Pro Plus on all our clients. The users have also the possibility to use the Office products out of the browser when they are not directly on their own device. It's always up to date. Yeah. We have no longer this hassle to go from Office 20 whatever to 7, 10, and so on. Also here we are following this evergreen approach. What is it in general our client following to continuously update the applications and the operating system in the background. And as I mentioned, when the files are opened out of Office 365, OneDrive, groups, etc., that the people have also the chance for co-authoring. Now it comes the time that Thorsten can also say something, because we come to his specialized area. Now let's have a look how we deal with security in our cloud approach. And the focus on security in that project was much, much higher compared to all our on-premise projects we did in the past. As we are now using a cloud service, which is available from everywhere, so that we have a much higher impact or possibility to get data breaches and so on. And the second topic is also to take care about the workplace, the client itself. How can we protect the client itself? And this is a cloud client, so it's normally operated out of the internet, so I can work from everywhere I am. And I have always internet connectivity and have to protect my client. Also here, the same as with Office, we are following this evergreen approach. We are using Windows as a service, what we heard also yesterday in some sessions. And we are using this, formerly called current branch and current branch for business. Now they have this crazy wording like Windows semi-annual channel and Windows semi-annual channel targeted.
It wasn't us, it was Office guys, so it's
So finally, it's the same as with the current branch and the current branch for business. We have the monthly quality updates, which contains mostly security updates, and we have a clear requirement from IT security. Within 72 hours, we have to deploy security updates on clients. That means here, these monthly quality updates we deploy in 4 stages. So we have 4 different software rings. One is deferred by 1 day, second by 2 days, 3 days, and 4 days. So we are a little bit more than 72 hours, but here we made a little bit compromise between risk and security. So we wait for 1 day, have the ear on the Twitter feeds, what is happening, something out in the field. But you can't compare the quality updates from Windows 10 with all this hassle of security updates in the past with XP and Windows 7, where you have this big list of updates, and then mostly the admin said, okay, I take the 1st, the 2nd, the 5th, the 10th, and the 15th, and then I deploy them. And then they are wondering why the client is no longer working anymore, because Microsoft tests these updates always together and not in separate steps. And with the quality updates as one package, it's much more easier and much more stable compared to the past. The bigger feature updates, so this semi-annual updates, we deploy in a not so progressive way. We have in the current branch ring mostly IT people and the application owners. So for example, when now in October 1707 is coming out, people from IT infrastructure, applications owner, they will receive within the first days the update to test their applications, to test our infrastructure, and the most of the business users will receive 1709 with the current branch for business around about 4 months later. Also here we have a staggered deployment, so in total it's around about 10, 12 different rings where we deploy the updates in different stages. As the experience now from 1703 was that it took around about half an hour to 45 minutes when a client is updated. And when we do that in one rush in a location, then all the containers, all the trucks will then stop and nobody can ship anything anymore. Also here, our client is directly connected to Windows Update in the cloud. That means it downloads the updates directly from the internet. So we have no WSUS server or something anymore. Also, here we have to take care not to overload our WAN or internet access. As I mentioned, for the application distribution, we have branch cache. And Microsoft has not one technology for peer-to-peer. For all the deployments, for Windows Update, it's not called branch cache, it's called delivery optimization, which also acts in the peer-to-peer mode, that only clients which are in the same physical location behind a WAN link or behind an internet link then do a peer-to-peer update. And when the first 2-3 clients have downloaded the update, then they distribute this also to the other clients in the same location. And this Windows as a service model, together with the Office 365 update model, with the Windows update model, drives our evergreen approach. Our clear strategy is to have our client always up to date. It's a hard fight with our development colleagues. So we have a big development team building up own business applications and explain them, and also the application owners who brought other applications in, that they cannot expect, like in the past, that you run for 2, 3 years or 4 years one operating system in a constant way, that we are constantly updating, and that we also avoid on that way these major updates as we do it today from Windows 7 to Windows 10. We never ever want to do that big step again. We want to do that in slices every month, every half a year, and bring our client up to date, and also avoid this big effort for our end users to migrate the client always to a new version. Together with Windows 10 and our cloud client, we introduced also some other new security functionalities to our end users, which makes their life on the one hand side a little bit easier. For example, with Windows Hello for Business, that they can log on now, instead of having their long password, they can log on with a PIN on their personal device, or if they have biometric functionality like a fingerprint reader or a face recognition camera, that they can also use this to log on to the client instead of typing in their long and complex password. As I mentioned, cloud servers can be accessed from everywhere. We have to protect the identities, that if someone steals my user ID and my password, cannot go to the next client, log on to the Office 365 service and can read my emails and my data. So we introduced also multi-factor authentication on the one hand side for the privileged users. That means our administrators. So every user who is doing administrative tasks in the back end, on the workplace, wherever, has a second user ID where the admin rights are assigned to. And with this admin account, he has to always use multi-factor authentication when it connects to a cloud service. For the users, we have configured conditional access. That means when a user is working on our own Schenker managed client, which is then the second factor, he can use Hello, he can use user ID and password. But when he's working from an unknown client, then he is always prompted for multi-factor authentication so that no one else can use user ID and password outside our environment. Also, when a user enrolls his client, he needs multi-factor authentication, because the enrollment of a new client is the creation of the second factor for that user. And also in that case, the user needs multi-factor authentication. Now we need to protect our data. We have a clear requirement from IT security, from data protection, that when it comes to encryption material, we as DB Schenker must be the owner. So they would like to have not bring your own key, they would like to have hold your own key. Then we explained them, sorry, but for hold your own key, you need everything on premise. And then we agreed on that we use bring your own key to create our own encryption material. That means we have created on our own HSM. It's a small device from Thales. We have created our own key material, uploaded this into Azure Key Vault, and when we withdraw this key material in an emergency situation, for example, nobody can access the data anymore in the cloud, which is protected by this key material. And also on the other side, Microsoft has officially not the chance to access our data. In which areas we use bring your own key or our own key material today? We use it together with RMS and AIP to protect our own data. And we are also having discussion to use this for a content level encryption for SharePoint and Exchange. RMS AIP is also, from my point of view, a real success story within our company. In the past, a couple of our top management used S-MIME to send encrypted emails. That means person A is sending an encrypted email to person B. Person B decrypts the email, takes the secure, the strictly confidential attachment out, puts it on a USB stick, and then we know all the stories from London and all the taxis and the millions of USB sticks which found there, and then the information about the newest joint venture or the newest merger and acquisition from DB Schenker is leaked to the public. With rights management and AIP, we have now the chance to protect our Office documents, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDFs, in a permanent way. That means when a user defines this document is strictly confidential, and we have a label on it, and it's also encrypted. And the user can define who is allowed to read or to access the content or to modify the content. That means if such a document is then put on a USB stick or by accident shared in an email with 50 other people, only the people who are intended to read or to access the document can do it, wherever this document is located. So we have a permanent protection of our intellectual properties where we need it. And where we need that, it's not decided by IT, because it makes no sense. Therefore, we have IT security, we have the data protection colleagues. They defined document classification, and based on these document classifications, we create the AIP labels or the RMS protection. So it's a completely business-driven deployment. Now we come to the section nearer and nearer for Thorsten. We also have to take care that we have to protect our workplace itself, the classical antivirus, anti-malware, and threat protection. And there is a nice blog entry from Robert O'Callaghan. It's a former developer of the Mozilla project, and was very surprised when I read through that article, because he mentioned in his article, please disable all virus scanners on your client except Defender. So you receive all the presentations, you have the link afterwards, or you can just Google for it. It's a very short blog entry, but with a very nice and interesting content, especially when it comes to browser security and how virus scanner intercept browser security. Defender is secure, Defender is good, we trust Defender, but Defender is, from our point of view, not everything. The classical pattern-based antivirus scanning is no longer enough. I think yesterday I saw from Heike Ritter from Microsoft a very nice short presentation in the theater how modern hackers just simply modify attacks, and all the antivirus scanners do not recognize them anymore. In that case, we decided to implement Defender ATP as an extension to the classical antivirus scan to have this post-breach, this detailed information. And I can tell you it was nice to see when we rolled out the first clients in our head office.
And found the penetration test team, right?
And we saw directly what the people are doing here, that they download some software, try to hack our system, and so on. And as Thorsten mentioned, we had to give away our client to a penetration test company to get a certification that we are secure, that all the stuff what we built was okay. And thanks to Defender, more or less in the same time that the hacker company starts hacking our client, we receive the alerts in ATP, directly pick up the phone, call the company and say, hey guys, please recognize in your protocol, now at 10:15 we called you. Normally, we would now press now the button for a wipe request to the client because what we have seen here is illegal and is critical for the company, and we would delete the client now.
Yeah, but I think on the other end, there were also some challenges we had with the alignment of WD ATP and Windows Defender AV, because when we started the security discussion with DB Schenker last year in December or so, there was no enlightenment of Windows Defender AV events into WD ATP. So you rely for Windows Defender AV on the traditional reporting ways like SCCM or Intune reports. Now we fixed this with 1703 starting, and all the Windows Defender AV events are lightened up into the WD ATP console, which gives a complete new level of maturity, I would say, to your security operations team, because they can see what's going on every stage of the endpoint. And we will continue this journey, introduce new features like Exploit Guard to the clients to give them the holistic story, to see what's going on in the network, and without the need of updating an agent, without the need of taking care of any kind of entity like Active Directory and so on. It's just working. It's built in, not bolted on, so it also fits perfectly into your greenfield approach, I guess, from this point of view. But we also had our challenges, to be honest. So
I think that's a topic which is valid for most of the stuff. That, for me, is every month is Christmas for me. Because every month Microsoft is bringing some new functionality in our environment. And it's always good to see that Microsoft is constantly developing the stuff, that Microsoft is listening to our wishes, to our problems, and adjust or develop the right stuff what customers are needed. And also as a feedback from the real field, think about of WannaCry. WannaCry hit also us. Also, we had a couple of machines. We had a crisis situation. We have brought all the regional infrastructure colleagues together, and then they start calling the different AV vendors, getting the news pattern file, try to distribute the pattern files to the clients in the traditional way. And this took hours. We were in contact with Microsoft, and Microsoft had, after 10 minutes after the first attack of WannaCry happened in the internet, Microsoft recognized this in their, how it's called? Anti-Defense Threat Center. How is this nice glass ball?
Security Center.
Here.
The Windows Security Center.
Here. So the Microsoft organization, 10 minutes after the first attack, they recognized it, and latest, I think it was 1 hour, all the systems in the cloud were updated to recognize WannaCry and to have the right protection on our clients. That means that speed we get out of the cloud onto our clients, we will never had with the on-premise environments. It took us hours to provide the updates on the clients, and with the cloud-connected client, we are much, much faster and much, much more secure. And we see here a big, big benefit getting all these services on a short notice out of the cloud. Coming to the last slide, final point. Also, we have to protect our email. Currently, our MX record is still pointing to our environment on-premise. We are currently working on it to change the MX record towards the cloud and use EOP, Exchange Online Protection. As we see here, also a great benefit compared to our on-prem solution, as Exchange Online Protection, also as the other security topics from Microsoft, rely on that million or billions of events they are collecting, not only from Office 365, from Xbox,
Bing Search,
Hotmail, and all that stuff.
Cloud protection services from antivirus, yeah.
Where they have machine learning, and what they learn on these services go directly into these enterprise services. And we have already now, for the users who were already migrated to the cloud, where Exchange Online Protection is already activated when the email is forwarded from on-premise, we see that still mails are blocked there compared to what is going through from on-premise. We see also ATP in the Office 365 environment as a real benefit, and this is why we're currently evaluating Office 365 ATP and see how big is the benefit for us. And then we need to check the licenses for the implementation. And we also heard already this week that Azure ATP is on the way, so that the overall threat protection for the complete cloud world is then completed. In the name of DB Schenker, I want to say thank you to all visiting this session today, listening to our solution. I will be here the whole week. You'll find me also in the directory on the app. So if you want to have some discussions afterwards, if you want to hear more details, I'm here the whole week. My contact details are also in the presentation, so you can also contact me afterwards. I'm happy to give you more insights how we did our cloud approach, and want to say thanks. And last but not least, please have this evaluation in your app and give us hopefully a good feedback. Thank you.
Thanks.